deep down, rooted in so many Christians, is a prejudice against the kinds of people that Jesus wants to save. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Hope you're all doing awesome today. So there was a recent interview that's kind of went viral in the media world with Michael Knowles, who interviewed an ex-OnlyFans creator who's recently come out saying that she is now a Christian. She's saved, she's giving up that way of living, and has given her life to Jesus. And so in this video, I'm not going to look at the interview specifically in and of itself, but rather I want to look at and address the response that I saw out there to the video, and in particular from Christians, their response to said video. You see, because here's the thing. I think deep down, rooted in so many Christians, is a prejudice against the kinds of people that Jesus wants to save. And I don't think it's there intentionally, but I think under the surface, it's there. You see, if you go back in time to the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, actually maybe even like the times of the old revivals that took place, the Great Awakenings that happened. So the last few hundred years, when we're talking about, people getting saved, and we talking about revival breaking out in cities and in countries, and how it's often preached about and talked about in churches, where we want to see just God move in powerful ways, and we want to see multitudes come to faith in Jesus. And we've seen throughout history, we're cool with these moves of God happening, seeing alcoholics come to faith, seeing drug addicts come to faith, drug dealers, people working in the bars, in the bar scene coming to faith. We're cool with that. Even in the whole prostitution world, seeing them come to Jesus, we're cool with that. We're cool with seeing bankers and lawyers and teachers and people of normal profession and coming to Jesus, and we're happy when revival breaks out and seeing those kinds of people come in. So often growing up as a kid in the church, hearing testimonies, I used to drink, or I used to do drugs, and now I no longer do that, or I was very promiscuous, and I used to sleep around, and God saved me, and now I don't do that. And praise God that God saved all those people, but those were kind of the acceptable people that God could save. Here's the thing though. Look at our world today. Sure, God is still saving, and we want him to save the alcoholics and drug addicts and drug dealers still, of course. But when we're looking at, from a church perspective, looking at the world and what's considered the bad people, the sinners, what do sinners look like today? It's completely different than I think in times past. And I think that the church is going to be confronted, and is starting to be confronted, with God moving in the lives of certain kinds of people that make the church very uncomfortable. And so this interview that we saw with this OnlyFans creator, this is an area that makes the church uncomfortable, makes Christians uncomfortable. Someone who is so visually polarizing with the kind of things that she did, being so mainstream and out there, to now radically be saved is kind of like to a modern Christian, because if you see all the responses, it's not real. It's fake. God didn't actually save her. She's just doing it for attention. She's just doing it for show. How could Michael Knowles interview her? How could he be so naive and gullible as to think that it's actually legit? And it's this where, if it's not this instantaneous Christian accepted transformation overnight, the way that Christians deem transformation needs to look like and happen on their timeline, it's looked at as not genuine and not real. And we look at the kinds of issues that people are facing with the whole alphabet people movement. Look at that just right there. All of the people caught up in all of those issues, people who believe that they're part of, I'm not sure exactly how to say it because I guarantee I'm going to get flagged. Don't want to get flagged, but people who have procedures done to them to change who they are, and then in that place, then have an encounter with Jesus and realize maybe they made a mistake. They encountered Jesus and wanted to be a Christian, but they've transitioned. Like, this is a whole set of issues that I don't think the church is prepared for. We're still at the place where an OnlyFans creator can get saved, and that just creates this massive issue. But what about when other kinds of people get saved? Does Jesus not want to reach people in the alphabet community? Are they off limits to the gospel? Are they off limits for salvation? And so I think there's this deep-rooted issue that I think needs to be addressed in the church, because it's like we have this underlying list of acceptable salvation qualified people, if I can word it like that. Whether it's knowingly or unknowingly there, it's there. And I think that God is like, wants to break that and has to break that. Because we're talking about, I mean, there's a lot of churches talking about these, this massive move of God that's going to come. This billion soul harvest that's going to come to the church. Cool. But do you know who's going to be comprised of these billion people? It's not just going to be what Christians deem as the normal qualified salvation people. It's going to be comprised of all kinds of people that make the church very uncomfortable. And if we're not prepared to handle that and deal with that and address that, I think it's going to cause a lot of damage and a lot of missed opportunities for people to meet Jesus. Because in Jesus' day, let's look at Jesus' example. He hung out with the kinds of people that the church of that day shunned, wanted to keep at arm's length, wanted nothing to do with. But Jesus hung out with them, didn't condone their life, didn't condone their lifestyle and their choices, but he still hung out with them. He still wanted to reach them with the gospel of the kingdom. He didn't shun them to the side and say, we need to stay away and ostracize them from the church. He embraced them. And so likewise, who are those kinds of people in our modern day? And I don't have to list them all out right now. Those of you watching, you know exactly who I'm talking about, the kinds of people I'm talking about. But it's like, I don't think the church really understands the kinds of things that they're going to have to deal with and address when Jesus starts bringing these people to the church. And I don't think Jesus wants all these people to start coming to a church that won't receive them, won't actually love them, won't actually, and is not qualified and able to handle what's going to happen, the kind of situations that they're going to have to deal with. But I think that this deep rooted prejudice that's there needs to be broken, or revival will never come, or revival will be delayed. Revival, we will miss it in this generation. And I just think that this example of this interview with this OnlyFans creator and the backlash from the Christians that I've seen. I mean, even, let's just say worst case scenario, even if this was all a lie, it was all made up, it was all for a show, and it comes out, it doesn't matter, because there are going to be other OnlyFans creators that are going to meet Jesus. There's going to be other people who are in the "we make Christians uncomfortable" camp that are going to meet Jesus. That's a very real issue that needs to be addressed. And we gotta ask God, we gotta break any kind of prejudice, salvific prejudice that may be lingering in our minds and in our hearts and our churches. So that's it for this video. Please feel free to leave comments in the comment section. Let's start a dialogue. Let me know what you agreed with. Let me know what you disagreed with. And yeah, have an awesome rest of your day or evening. We'll see you all in the next video. Much love and God bless.